It's beer o'clock on Real Ale Craft Beer. Today we got a bottle of Kronenbourg 1664, described as La Première Bière Française. You know, we've all seen the Eric Cantona videos on the television, well, at least in Europe and the UK anyway. I'm not sure if they advertise Eric Cantona in America, but maybe he might be their global face for the beer. It's been imported by Heineken. So I'm just wondering, maybe it's owned by Heineken, the company now. Please comment in the comments box if it's owned by Heineken. There's the bottle cap. Now, I thought I reviewed this beer a long time ago whilst on a train to Brussels in Belgium on the Eurostar. Nice bit of smoke on the bottle opening. Beer in the glass then. 660 bottle, 5% ABV, green glass. Very much like Heineken, using green glass. But then again, when you go to France, you see the little stubby bottles of beer. They're generally in green glass. So beer in a glass, we've got a 2-finger white head, clear looking beer. Good levels of carbonation, straw coloured. Let's get the aroma. I'll tell you more about that Brussels story on the Eurostar in a moment. It's doing very well to very well to hide the skunkiness in the beer. I'll explain skunkiness in a moment for many of you lager drinkers out there. Hop strike. We'll get there in a moment. It's not that bad at all, if I'm perfectly honest. There's some lemony, spicy flavours coming through. A little bit of citrus note on the back end. It's smelling like an old malt beer. You definitely get the malts in there. A little bit of sweetness from them malts. So let's dive in. Cheers. Amber stroke straw coloured beer. Actually, it's very much like a French stumpy. Those, if you've been to France, if you've been to the UK even, the French stumpies are, they're literally in every supermarket, from Lidl to Aldi to Morrison's to Tesco to Asda to Waitrose to Sainsbury's. You can find French stumpy bottles. I think they're little 250 bottles of beer, very popular in France. Chuck them in the fridge. You buy a 12-pack of them, chuck them in the fridge, cool them down. Little bottles of beer. You drink them before they get warm. You can probably buy Kronenbourg in France in stumpy bottles. I've not seen it in the UK. But I do have a memory of Kronenbourg being in small 250 stumpy bottles. It's okay. It really is okay. Good levels of carbonation. You can see a little bit of the lacing on the glass. It's another hot summer's day here in the UK. I've got something really refreshing in my hand. It's malty in terms of light, very light sweet malts. Balances off nicely with a bitterness on the back end. It's no world beater of a beer. If you're into craft beer, you've tuned into this video. If you're only into craft beer, this will not knock your socks off. But on a hot day like today, it's refreshing, it's crisp. Carbonation pushes the beer on the inside of the mouth, and there's a little hop, peppery kind of spiciness on the back end. There is the smallest amount of skunkiness. I promised I'd talk to you about skunkiness. Hop strike, as some people call it. Right, here's the science behind it. Some breweries in the world, Heineken, Carlsberg, Kronenbourg, they put their beer in green glass bottles. Even Stella Artois in the UK put their beer in green glass bottles. If you were to try and sell a Stella Artois in a green glass bottle in its home country of Belgium, people would laugh. People wouldn't buy it. It's because what happens with green glass is that when you have it's a scientific thing. If I was to leave this glass of beer sitting in the full sunlight for maybe 15 minutes, there would be a chemical reaction between the hops and the sun. The hops would go from being lovely and fragrant and peppery and spicy and lemony to, from the ultraviolet rays from the sun and supermarket lighting, the UV light in the supermarkets has the same effect on beer in green glass and clear glass bottles, is that it turns it very skunky, very kind of, it's awful skunky taste. Kronenbourg here, using this green glass bottle, have managed to somehow minimalize this to the absolute minimum. There is just the smallest slight amount of skunkiness in this beer. Why then? Why do us Brits accept beer in green glass? Okay, so I forgot to mention about the green glass. So the green glass lets the light in. So does the clear glass. Brown glass, which is very important, brown glass reflects the sunlight back away. It doesn't let the harmful rays of the sun affect that chemical reaction, that hop strike, to make the beer taste floral and lovely, to like something that comes out of a skunk's bottom. That's the science behind it. So how come then, very quickly, how come the people in Belgium, probably Germany, Czech Republic, vast amount of beer knowledge, how come they won't accept it? There we go, there's your answer there, because they have a vast amount of beer knowledge. How come that's in the UK? How come we're almost very ignorant here in the UK, in that we don't really care about whether the beer's in a green glass, because as long as the beer's cheap, it seems, then we'll drink it. There probably, once upon a time, there was a big knowledge on this subject, but not a lot of people in the UK know an awful lot about beer. A lot of people in the UK drink beer, not a lot of people know anything about the beer, where it's come from, where it's brewed, why it's a lager, why it's a stout. And that ignorance does annoy me. It does annoy me. But that's enough of the kind of politics about it now. I think I should just concentrate on the beer in the glass. Oh, I'll tell you that story about Brussels as well. It's just a small amount, tiny amount of that skunkiness in the aroma and in the taste. Heineken Kronenbourg have done a marvellous job of hiding the skunkiness. Maybe they have some new fandangled way of not allowing that to happen anymore. Quick story about Belgium and then I'll rate the beer. So I thought I'd review this beer on a train to Brussels on the Eurostar, going to Belgium, Brussels. I was actually heading to the European Beer Conference about 3 years ago, and the funny thing on the Eurostar is that they feed you and they give you beer, or they offer you beer. They don't make you drink beer, but they offer you beer, and that beer is Kronenbourg. And yeah, the reason why I haven't reviewed it ever on the channel is I did a quick search in Morrison's. I thought, I picked it up and thought, have I reviewed this? No, haven't reviewed this. I thought I reviewed it on the train in Belgium, but it wasn't. It was actually Heineken in the sky on an aeroplane that I reviewed, not Kronenbourg on an aeroplane, on a train, a Eurostar. So I'm reviewing it now. That's the simple answer. So let's rate this beer. It looks good. It smells pretty good. It's a shame about that small amount of skunkiness. It tastes okay. It tastes okay. It's a 660 milliliter bottle. You get 3 bottles for £5. That turns out to be about 2 litres, over 2 litres of beer for £5. As I mean, on a hot summer's day, there's other beers on the shelf in Morrison's that I would, in all honesty, pick up before this. I picked up a lovely Warsteiner from Germany. Same deal, 660 bottle, over 2 litres of beer for £5, and it was in brown glass. The Germans know how to do it. It was in brown glass. It wasn't skunked. It was, in all honesty, a much better beer than this. It really was. I think I'd give that quite a high rating, the Warsteiner. This, it's just another branch of Heineken. It's just another way of selling Heineken to the French. That's how I see it. They've relabeled Kronenbourg 1664. It's probably brewed in the same mega factory, mega brewery as Heineken and every other Heineken brand. Newcastle Brown Ale, which incidentally is more a lager now that's been coloured brown. Absolutely refuse to review that beer. Let's rate it. It's a middling, meddling 6 out of 10. 6 out of 10 from Real Ale Craft Beer. Please put your comments in the comments box. Subscribe to our daily beer and food reviews. Give us a big fat thumbs up. Boom! Cheers.